Good evening and welcome. It is Tuesday, November 23rd, 6:01 p.m. on the Central Coast. I am in Central Time right now, and it's a new time for me, so I'm just getting used to it. If you're just tuning in, we always like to take a couple of minutes, so please feel free to say hello, say your name, where you're from, and let's see, beach or mountains. That's it. Just beach or mountains. Hey, Yvonne, it's good to see you. Beach or mountains? What is your favorite? Hello, Valerie. You always call me Mr. Smith, and I'm not sure if it sounds like my dad, if it's hey, Love Lana, hey, Eric. I don't let most people call me Mr. Smith, but Valerie, you can call me Mr. Smith. I like it. Mountains. I agree. I'm actually at the beach right now. But hi, Jody from the UK. Welcome. I keep missing your streams. It has been a long time, Yvonne. I was 2 weeks ago. Chris filled in for me, which was much appreciative, and so it's probably been a month since I've been on. So it's good to see everyone. I asked everyone if please feel free to give us your name, where you're from, and if you prefer beach or mountains. I'm currently at the beach on a little getaway, not too far from home, but I actually probably prefer mountains better. Although we've had a nice time, as you can see, I've gotten a very dark tan since I've been here. That my pasty whiteness has slowly changed into a pasty off whiteness. So we're making progress. Hi, Deirdre. Yep, JG and Deirdre love the beach. If you're from the UK, I feel like that's fair to love the beach. It's kind of always. Yvonne, beach. Nikki Bradley in Dublin. Hello, Nikki. I know it's always Scottish. I'm sorry. I suck. All right. Well, as you all get in, let's go ahead and get through the usual, so we can dive into conversation. So, like I said, if you're just joining us, let's know your name, where you're from, and beach or mountains. Keeping it simple tonight. Hey, Dave, good to see you. All right. So, my name is Ethan Smith. I'm a national advocate for the International OCD Foundation, which, as we know, means I have OCD and I won't stop talking about it. Quickly, this town hall is intended to serve as educational content and is not intended to. This is not a town hall. It's how you know I've done my work ahead of time. Hey, Rachel Binney. But this live stream is intended to serve as educational content and is not intended to replace therapy. For treatment-related questions, please be sure to work with your local provider or contact a local clinician. The IOCDF is not a crisis hotline and should not be used if you're in distress or feel unsafe. If you are in crisis, you're ever feeling suicidal or unsafe, please go to your local emergency room, call 911, or call the suicide prevention hotline at 800-273-8255. We always want to be respectful and kind to everyone and others. So thank you, Jess. Appreciate that. So please remember that this is on all the public social media channels and platforms, but we try to keep this as safe a space as possible so we can have open and honest and candid conversation and support one another. But remember that as you open up, and feel free to share. And with that, welcome. How is everyone doing tonight? As always, these tend to be a little bit more interactive. So I know it's Scottish accent. I can't help it. I'm sorry, Nikki. Embarrassment to all Irish impersonators out there. Hi, Beth. All right, so tonight's conversation is on giving thanks. And where are you? Oh, great question. So for those of you just tuning in, I am at the beach. Katie and I went for 4 or 5 days to get away for Thanksgiving. And we're at the beach in Florida. And we leave tomorrow to head back to have Thanksgiving with family. But that's why I asked beach or mountain. So currently, the beach is right out the door, and it's been beautiful and lovely. And and comes also, thank you. It is lucky, Beth, but it comes with its challenges, as Katie and I always like to talk about. Being on vacation and slowing down always gives thoughts time to creep up and get loud. And so I think there's definitely been some of that happening. I don't know why my nose always itches during these live streams, but they itch. Beth, I will tell Katie you said hello. Maybe she'll even make an appearance. We never know. She just pops in from now and again. So yeah, so it's one of those times where as things quiet down, thoughts get louder and can seem more intense and more real, and you just kind of have to do your best to manage them. So I don't know. How are y'all on vacations? Do you typically enjoy your vacations? Do you find that your OCD thoughts or anxiety creep up, get loud? For me, sometimes when I have less to worry about or less things to focus on, my mind will immediately look for things to worry about, even if it's not OCD specific or relates to my OCD symptoms. Um, it will look for things to worry about or dig into, things that even maybe I wasn't worried about before, and suddenly like, oh, it's a problem now, because I've gone on vacation. So everything has changed. Lots of love for Katie in the chat room, so I know she appreciates that. But yeah, so OCD gets louder for sure, Eric. How about it? How about everyone else? Vacations, off days, weekends. How does your OCD or anxiety respond? Let's see here. Louder before and during. OCD doesn't want me to have fun. I know. It really doesn't. It likes to have fun on its own terms. It doesn't really like us to have fun, huh? Yeah, Deirdre, for sure. Valerie said, "Hey, beautiful." I'm assuming you're talking to me, Valerie. You might be talking to Lana, but I'll pretend it's me because, as we know, I am beautiful. Yes, OCD does get louder, and it's very common to get louder as we sort of knock things off our plate and have more time to think and worry. And yeah, I think. Did somebody say? There's also like for me, there's a deserve factor, like whether I deserve to be having a good time or happy or carefree. And I think that's part of it. Even if I'm not willing to accept it consciously, I think subconsciously I start to worry about stuff that really isn't a big deal, or stuff that I haven't worried about in weeks. But even work stuff that like wasn't a problem until I suddenly had nothing to do, and then I decided it was a problem because, God forbid I have some quiet time to really just be present. Rachel wrote, holidays are a nightmare. Things get louder, and now she won't come on holiday with us. Yeah, that makes sense, Rachel. They do get louder. And holidays, we talk about this every year. Holidays, and let me know if you all relate. Holidays can be challenging for a few reasons. One is the reason that we're talking about, that is, things slow down and we get more time to ourselves. And work slows down and you're able to take some time to yourself. Yeah, OCD gets louder, anxiety gets louder, thoughts get louder. And that's due to a few factors, but I mean, the biggest ones are, getting out of routine, lack of distraction. Those are two huge factors in OCD and anxiety, and really any distressing thought, social anxiety, generalized anxiety disorder. Those things coming up and getting loud is those are two main reasons. But we also talk about the pressure of holidays and what that means, and feeling like we have to be our best. Hi, Lorena. Where is Katie? Katie's in the other. Do we just want Katie to join us? Katie's getting a lot of love, so we might have to have Katie come join us, and it can be just Ethan and Katie impromptu. I can yell. We'll accept 3 yeses for Katie to join. We'll require 3 yeses. And then we'll bring Katie in. Okay, that's 1 yes. Thank you, Deirdre. Does the IOCDF hold Zoom meetings? We got a hashtag Katie. They do not hold Zoom meetings. Are you referring to support groups, dear Yvonne? Rachel Penny says yes, all the way from the UK. And Don Calvert said yes. That would be 3 yeses. Katie, you have to come on now. You've been requested. 4 yeses. Grab a seat. Five yeses. Beth.
Hi.
All right. So it's now just Ethan and Katie, or just Katie and Ethan. I don't want to get in trouble. Katie, we're talking about, your hands are freezing. we're talking about how our
Hi, Deirdre.
we're talking about how vacations and the holidays really make our OCD thoughts get louder and more intense, and whether that's because it's out of routine or less distraction. I was just reading. I told my therapist last week. I just found out Ethan and Katie are girlfriend boyfriend.
Yes.
Well, technically we're boyfriend girlfriend, but that's fine. We're
partners.
We're partners.
Mhm.
Real quick before we get into this, I wanted to say, right, because I want to scroll back up. Going to the Bahamas in December will be good exposure therapy for flying. Absolutely, Don. Man, I would love to go to the Bahamas. So yeah, Katie. So I'll read Beth's comment in a minute, but that's what we're discussing.
Okay. Well, it sounds very poignant because I've been super triggered on vacation. And particularly triggered right now, which is why I was kind of going to kill Ethan for being like, hey, you should come on the stream right now. But I think, it's really interesting that even in advocacy and when we talk all the time publicly about what we need to do to manage OCD, it can be really, really tough when things get quiet. And I know for me, there's been a combination of stuff that's come up this week from past trauma, but also from OCD that has felt so incredibly urgent and has felt like I need to figure it out right there in this moment. And that can be really, really tough, especially on vacation, where we've had a lot of conversations around, you almost put vacation on this pedestal around the idea that, yes, we're going on this vacation. We're finally going to drop everything. We're not going to be stressed out anymore. We can let everything go. It's going to be great. And then there's so much frustration when OCD pops up, when things that you don't want to be worried about pop up. And that's definitely been the case for me. And not that I always do that perfectly, because I can't lie, Ethan's sitting next to me and he's watching me go through ups and downs this week. But I think it's very possible to offer yourself compassion in the midst of that, while also holding yourself accountable to jump into that life that you deserve, doing your best not to engage into those compulsions, to live into that fear. And even if you don't feel good the whole time, be able to be present as much as you can on that vacation in a meaningful way. So no, I haven't done it perfectly, but appreciate it.
Neither have I.
Yeah.
It's all challenging and hard. For me, it's always work. I feel irresponsible for ignoring work, or I should ignore work, or I find things to worry about that I wasn't worried about before with work. And super fun. Beth wrote, my vacations are working vacations. I go down to the shore and hand out info on hermit crab care. My OCD goes crazy and I have to double, triple make sure I go into every store and make sure I didn't miss a beach shop. My OCD tells me I missed a store and I know I didn't. We relate to that. And we went on the lookout for hermit crabs while we've been down here. Yeah,
and I actually get, as somebody who grew up with hermit crabs and was very concerned about care for hermit crabs and folks not taking care of them in the ways that they should, but that can make a lot of sense that OCD can latch onto that as something where you feel hyper responsible for making sure that all of the hermit crabs at all of the stores are okay. And I think that feels really, really tough when you're at the beach or you're in a space where you just want to shut everything down and the OCD keeps saying, no, well, this is important to you. And if it's important to you, you have to do this right now and you have to do this immediately. And I think there could be some great exposures around it that where you can still love and really care for hermit crabs, but really think about what does that mean? Is OCD kind of getting in the way of your vacation as well?
For sure. There's a question, but I also want to ask you all a question and kind of redirect our conversation. But Lorena asked, do you share the content of your intrusive thoughts and compulsions? Do you think she means with each other?
I think with each other.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Do we?
Depends. I think, definitely there is not shame around it. I think he knows kind of all of the at least core fears around my intrusive thoughts. And I know really all of the core fears around yours. And we're really open about it, especially if something's coming up for the first time. At the same time, we try not to share those things if it is becoming compulsive, if it's well, I say try not to. I'm not always the best at that either, but we try to prevent each other from doing that. If there's something like, oh, I'm going to tell you this thought so that you can make sure for me that it's OCD, or so that you can make sure that I'm handling this appropriately. In that case, we kind of try to back off from one another and say, hey, this might not be a conversation that we should have. but we're always comfortable sharing those intrusive thoughts. And often we'll share if we've maybe engaged in a compulsion that we know we shouldn't have engaged in, to be able to support each other, one, compassionately, but two, so we can move forward in a different direction.
Yeah, I think I try to take a very general approach to sharing in terms of OCD, which is, to just, and I'm very careful how I word things. So I like to say, like, I'm noticing that my OCD thoughts are really loud, or I'm noticing that I engaged in compulsion. I like to use the word notice because it takes me out of inside of it and sort of objectively helps me perceive it. But even more so, I could say things like, my typical intrusive thoughts are really loud, louder than usual. I'm struggling to stay present today. I don't think it's personally helpful with Katie specifically to go into details of my, and not because, again, this is all stuff she knows. I just don't think it's particularly helpful in my maintenance and management to get into the details of it, because I think just vocalizing it for me is reassuring. Just because if I can pick, well, A, just saying it out loud is reassuring. B, if I can pick up a clue in her face, if she slightly rolls her eyes, or if she slightly, whatever it is that gives me some sense that what I'm saying is probably ludicrous or probably not realistic, then, I'll derive some sense of reassurance from it. And I don't want to do that. So I try to stay as general as possible and leave content out of it. I'm free, and she's free to talk about, well, she's free to talk about anything. I don't want to but she's free to talk about, that there's some struggle going on and that it's really a hard day or hard focusing. But I really prefer, for me, I don't get in the weeds too much about what specifically, just because I know myself and know that it's, for me, it's reassurance seeking to verbalize it. I don't know about you, Katie.
Yeah, well, and going back to Lorena with your question, again, never because there's any shame around our intrusive thoughts. We both have had all sorts of different categories of really fun thoughts, as I'm sure y'all can relate to. And there's never any shame in sharing, but sometimes we try not to share so that it's not compulsive, especially if we already know. So it generally, we've had enough conversations that if I even say something like, yeah, my harm intrusive thoughts are really loud today, or my false memory related thoughts are really loud today, you know what I'm talking about. And I don't need to say, oh yeah, but it's actually specifically this, this, and this. You generally know what I'm referring to without me needing to go into specific details. And the support can become something more along the lines of, oh, I know that's really tough. I know you can do it, as opposed to us getting into the nitty gritty of diving into the content.
And I think that's helpful in general, for sure. I think that you in no means want to become your partner's therapist, or want to become, you don't want to police your partner's OCD. Same for a parent and child, or any type of loved one that or caregiver or things like that. I think that, we want to support in a healthy way. And sometimes that's really hard, especially when you know what it feels like to struggle. So if you watch your partner struggle and you relate to that, and it's like, I don't think I understood, especially with Katie, I was always, well, not with Katie, but with individuals, that would express compulsions and fears. I was always so black or white, like, you can't give into that. I would never do that, and I'd just say really triggering things back. And, as I got to know and love Katie, when things would come up, it was really hard to do that, because I knew that, like, just the tiniest dose of reassurance would just make it go away, only for a short time. Really, I know it would make the OCD worse and make the OCD stronger and her sicker. But it's hard to resist that, because it's such an easy way to give sort of instant relief. But knowing that the larger picture is sickness, then you just kind of have to keep that in mind, and vice versa. Everything that, I'm talking about is the same.
Well, and knowing that when you're resisting giving me that reassurance, that you're talking to the OCD, you're not talking to me, and it's so that I can get better and be the best version and the best partner that I can be, and the Katie that I want to be, not the Katie that OCD tries to put me in a box in order to be.
That's right. Also, this was on a giving thanks today, but if we can make this about relationships as well, we are talking about doing a relationship live stream potentially next year. So let us know if that sounds interesting to you. Love Lana wrote, did you guys find anything cool in the ocean?
Ooh, we went shelling.
We did go shelling. I was going to be snarky and say water, but But I will tell you that today we're on the 18th floor in a condo, and we're in the Gulf of Mexico, which typically isn't particularly clear water, but where we are is known for it being really clear and blue. And so you could really see through a lot. And we saw stingrays today from our balcony, like schools of stingrays swimming, and they were really, really friendly and seemed to be playing with a lot of kids that were playing out in the water and just kind of swimming between them and stuff like that, until one dragged a small kid out to sea. And that was pretty horrifying for its mother. I thought it was really entertaining.
They were very nice stingrays, I promise.
So let's see here. Yeah, micro great accountability.
Oh, and I see more hermit. Yes, they can live for decades with proper care. I'm a big hermit crab person too, Beth. So thank you. Sorry, I got excited about the hermit crabs. I grew up with hermit crabs and was very, very passionate about hermit crab care.
My parents wouldn't let me have them.
I'm sorry.
Where was I? Yes, grain accountability. It is grain accountability. And that's kind of one of the things that is important to Katie and I, and our new sort of joint advocacy together, is to show that, you can live a very healthy relationship, with both partners. And I know, Don, you asked that question, having OCD. And, is it perfect? No. We're also both only children. So that's super fun but I think that it requires work, and it requires a lot of self-awareness and insight. And, we both are in therapy, and see therapists weekly. So I think it's requires effort at times. Sometimes, yeah, just knowing each other and knowing what we're going through is really, really helpful. But I always like to say, at least for me, OCD may have been like a connection point because we met at a walk, but it by no means defines our relationship or is the singular connection point in our relationship. It's just a part of who we are. It's not who we are, but it is a part of who we are. And, sometimes it creeps up in our relationship, but the fact that we can look out for one each other, it's very funny. And Katie will tell you, like, it's so obvious to me when she's compulsing, and it's so obvious to her when I'm compulsing. And so really we're great at like calling each other out on our own crap, probably much better than we are in and of ourselves. Thank you. Yeah. What she said. Finish each other's sentence.
Well, but and everything that Ethan's saying, we're coming off of both having some really difficult weeks leading up to Thanksgiving with our OCD. And Don, going back to kind of both of us having OCD, yeah, we do both have OCD, and there are some weeks that are really tough for both of us. And up until that point, we had been kind of on different wavelengths, where sometimes he would have really tough weeks, and other weeks I would have really tough weeks, and we'd be there to support one another. And the concern and question was always, oh my goodness, what happens when both of us are kind of in that OCD hole at the same time? And it happened. It did happen right kind of before Thanksgiving, maybe a week and a half ago. What are you looking at with your eyebrows?
I have a pimple.
Yeah, you do.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah, I know, right?
Go ahead.
And it actually was a really neat experience to recognize that I was able to support him and he was able to support me while we were both navigating our OCD. And it almost kind of helped, at least for me take a step back from the OCD itself and be able to see it kind of for what it was and have some separation from it and realize, oh wait, we're both struggling for all of these different reasons, but we can still be here and we can still support and love and care for one another without giving reassurance, which I know is Beth's next question at 6:19. And I think that's really, really important.
So Beth asked, do you believe that not giving reassurance is a good thing? Katie?
Well, I believe that not giving reassurance is a great thing. My OCD believes that giving reassurance will help every single time, which it doesn't. It helps maybe for 2 seconds and then things get significantly worse. And I will just even give an example from this week. There was something that I was really, really stuck on vacation, something that I did not want to be stuck on vacation. And even as an OCD advocate and someone who kind of knows that I should be asking for reassurance, I asked you for reassurance quite a number of times, didn't I? You can, yep, I did, to the point that it probably got really frustrating. And how many times did you give me reassurance?
I don't know.
You really didn't give me
many.
Yeah, really. I mean, maybe a couple through a look or something like that, but pretty much none.
I was kind of mean.
You were kind of mean about it, but you weren't mean to me. You were mean to my OCD. And that's always the piece. Like, you've never been mean to me about what I'm experiencing, but you've been frustrated with my OCD for me. And Beth, I think to that point, yes, I got really frustrated in some of those moments of like, oh, if you will just give me reassurance, like I'll be able to feel better and I'll enjoy this vacation and it'll be great. But for every time he would have given me reassurance, I would have gone further down the hole. I would have missed out on even more of the vacation. And it was really his love and care for me that really came through by not giving reassurance to my OCD. And even for the frustration that I might have felt in the moment, he was able to push me towards a much, much, much healthier path with the things that I was experiencing.
I agree. I'm not going to argue with you. That was beautifully said.
Okay. I don't know.
Do you want to repeat it in case people, it broke up or they lost?
No, we're good.
Okay. Yes. And the same, I mean, she supported me, with me. I said it before, but for me in vacations, I really struggle with, not working and feeling irresponsible and, things like that. And so while that isn't particularly my, maybe some of it's OCD and maybe some of it's just worry and anxiety. Katie's really good at helping me come back to the moment and taking my hand and be like, can we just be present here right now? And that's always meaningful as well. So you do the best you can, but I think that utilizing the skills and tools that we know to work, even with a loved one, is kind of the way to go, and understanding that, the goal is to knock OCD back and not contribute to getting sicker. Even in that moment, no matter how it feels, is really the number one thing. And communicating that you're doing that. Sometimes I'll remind Katie that I'm not talking to her, I'm talking to her OCD. Or sometimes I don't yell, I don't have a temper. I get emotional, but I don't have a temper. I'm not generally
He's a crier
and angry.
It's very cute.
Nobody knows that. I cry.
Well, yeah, you get teary.
I know I do. I get teary. I'm an emotional crier. I'm a crier. It's fair. So sometimes if I'll raise my voice, and I haven't done it often, but when I'll raise my voice at OCD, she gets kind of taken aback. And the reality is I'll remind her, I'm like, well, I'm being aggressive with OCD right now. I'm and honestly trying to empower Katie, the individual, to step up, and put OCD in its place, and vice versa. It's a partnership. And Lovelana wrote, we certainly can empathize well with each other. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Everything from us is, but it's the same with you all as well. Like,
you don't have to have a partner with OCD in order to empathize. And that's one of the pieces, if we end up doing some more with this, with live streams, that we really want to get across is two individuals, whether or not one has OCD or both have OCD or both are navigating different things, just by loving and caring for one another and seeking to understand the diagnosis and what that person needs, it's completely possible to have a positive relationship and also to empathize. Because I think, OCD, as y'all know, is really, really tough. But I think everyone experiences hard points of life in their own way. And I think you can have a partner that might not totally understand that exact experiences of OCD, but can empathize through some of their hardships as they kind of seek to understand and support you as best they can.
Yeah, I think being resolute and knowing your journey to wellness is really important, and what your path looks like, and that's really helpful, I think. And let me specify that it isn't necessary to get into a relationship, to be clear. But I feel like I had a very good sense of who I was, my relationship with my OCD, and what I needed to do to stay well coming into this relationship, and so I was able to verbalize that to Katie, what I needed, what I expected, what I hoped for, pitfalls that I would fall into, integrating her into my life and vice versa. And, but having that insight was really, really helpful. And being in a place where I could do that was really helpful. And so I think, as all relationships, communication has been key for us, not only in our relationship, but in our OCD, and helping each other manage it in meaningful ways.
Mm-hmm. Alexander, you're one of our favorite people too. It's good to see you.
Hi, Alex.
We love you.
We're thankful for you, Valerie. Beth, I'm glad we answered your question. Z Oliver at 6:24 p.m. asked, how do you get over traveling and having OCD and pushing friends away? Great question. Katie?
You can go first.
I insist.
No, you can go first. I went first on the last one.
Beauty before age.
Go ahead.
Okay. I mean, I think the first thing is and we sound like a broken record, but exposure response prevention, treatment, therapy, engaging in meaningful modalities of treatment, are the biggest ways you can sort of obviously get over your OCD and engage in value-driven behavior. In your case, you're talking about traveling, you're talking about being with friends rather than push them away. OCD is a very isolating disorder, and in order to accommodate ICD, which is a new form of OCD. Yes, it's interesting, compulsive. Anyway, and accommodating OCD is very isolating, right? Because we generally don't want to compulse in front of people. Maybe there's fears and phobias about traveling and other things. Our world gets smaller and smaller the more we engage in OCD. So it makes sense that you have trouble traveling, and I know I didn't really travel till my 30s just because I was so scared of what might happen and leaving my family, and also push lots of friends away, especially as for many people, depression becomes a secondary diagnosis to OCD just because, everything going on. So, that's very, very common. And I'm sure lots of people here can relate to, not traveling as much or, losing friends because of their OCD and so forth. But I mean, definitely the first step is engaging in treatment, engaging in therapy, engaging in support groups, reading and learning and understanding, what is OCD, how does it affect you, and ways you can, start to get better. I don't know, Katie, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I love everything you said, and the treatment piece, as we always talk about, is so incredibly important. But also, I mean, even just the language of get over traveling or get over OCD. I've said that so many times. Like, I just want to get over this. I just want to get over my intrusive thoughts. I just want to get over this stupid disorder. I just want to get over it and move on with my life. And I think one of the big pieces for me is even reframing what does it mean to get over it or get over doing these things with OCD into a place of being able to say, okay, I have a level of acceptance that I have this thing. I have OCD, and yes, it's going to be challenging, but through treatment, it's possible for me to live this amazing, beautiful, value-driven life. And I can travel while having OCD. I can stop pushing my friends away and have OCD. I might be uncomfortable spending time with my friends or traveling, but the more that I do that while having OCD, while navigating that in the most value-driven way that I possibly can, the easier those things are going to get over time. And I think that for me has been a really big reframe, that I don't have to get over OCD, that I don't have to all of a sudden feel better in order to do all of the things that bring me joy. But by doing those things with my OCD, it actually gets a lot easier as time goes on. And sometimes you get to the point that you forget the OCD is even there.
That is very, very true. So hopefully that helped answer your question, Z. Timothy at 6:24 p.m. says, hi, what do you guys think the likelihood of people having OCD also have ADHD? I don't know, Katie. I don't know the exact percentage. I know there's lots of co-occurring and overlap between a variety of mental illness, whether it's OCD and ADD, OCD and ADHD, or OCD and BDD, or hoarding, or BFRBs, or anxiety disorder, general anxiety disorder, social anxiety disorder, substance use disorder. I really don't know the exact occurrence or frequency of occurrence between ADD and ADHD, but there's so much overlap within it. It's definitely not uncommon for people to have multiple diagnoses, as I do. Do you? I actually don't know.
Ish.
Show off.
I'm not a show off.
You only have one-ish?
No, I mean, I
have like 4.
But that's okay.
Is it?
Yeah.
We'll talk about this later.
So no, I definitely have some other stuff going on and some ties to trauma and things like that as well. But I would say just so I'm a school chaplain for any of y'all that I don't know. And I do not know the specific stats around this, but I have a lot of students with particular accommodations that have OCD and that have ADHD, but also many that have both co-occurring. So I definitely think that's something that comes up often. I don't know the specific stats, but I'm sure that's something that a clinician could chat with you about.
For sure. Don wrote, I also have a trauma component to my history. It intersects with the OCD in really profound ways. Glad you all can support each other. My girlfriend doesn't have OCD or trauma, but she is supportive. Katie?
Yeah, I mean, I relate to that in so many ways, and I'm navigating right now some of the aspects of how trauma has impacted my experience with OCD, and some of that honestly has come up on this trip and been pretty tough. But I think the support of those around you makes such a difference. So I know your girlfriend doesn't have those experiences, but going back to what we said before, I think just having that partner who wants to understand and wants to support you is huge. And I'm so glad you have that.
Yeah, I think that, Katie and I found each other and found out that we had OCD. We weren't looking for someone with OCD, and therefore found each other. And I think that's an important distinction. Although even if we did meet at a walk, it's important to acknowledge that she's definitely my person for a multitude of reasons, OCD not being one of them. But I think and to Don's
mostly because we like musicals and green
please,
bananas
they don't know
and
that.
ticking clocks.
It's
a lot of other weird random stuff that has nothing to do with OCD, but okay.
That is true. That was not for public.
We sing musical theater puns.
We don't. No, that's a lie. So Don, we totally relate to that. And I think it's important to note that, I think that's amazing that she supports you. And I think that's huge. And that's all, we can really do. So, by no means do you need to be with somebody that has OCD or has your thing or whatever it is, no different than, somebody that had cancer or has cancer doesn't need to be with somebody that also has it or had it. I think that, there are a lot of differentiating factors. And I think also, in many ways, it's probably in many ways a good thing, that I think there's definitely, when two individuals have OCD, and a lot of other similarities, I think there are definite pitfalls in our relationship that we have to be extremely wary of and mindful of. And we are, and we talked about some of those before, but we definitely are. And we've already started a savings account for our child for therapy.
Future that is not in the works.
It's
currently.
not an announcement.
No,
I'm just saying that based on our track record, there's a strong chance that they'll end up in therapy, and we've started saving for that fact. Not an announcement.
Rachel,
she's taking it back.
Well, no, I'm just making sure. I'm like, no big surprises here.
We're going to be on page 6 now.
No. So Rachel at 627 just wanted to know, and I know you said that you're thankful for not having Thanksgiving due to the fact that Christmas can be really difficult with OCD and with family and eating disorder, and just wanted to affirm that I know the holidays can be so tricky. I know Ethan, I think, spoke to this a little bit when I was in the other room at the beginning, but holidays can be so challenging for folks with OCD and just for so many people in general, where things come up that relate to family, that relate to illness, that relate to loss, that relate to grief. And I think being thankful for not having Thanksgiving this year is perfectly fine. So just sending you love in the midst of what your family is navigating. And also wanted to let you know that we're going to be having some special IOCDF live streams as the winter holidays approach, specific to what it means to navigate what some might think is the most joyful time of the year, and what might be really, really hard for others.
Rachel's also from the UK. It's part of the reason she doesn't have Thanksgiving.
Oh,
she doesn't say that there. I'm just letting you know.
Oh, sorry. Well,
no. But I mean, it's fair. Isn't that when we went to war with the British and left? So that's I get the holidays confused sometimes. But, no, but Rachel's awesome. And I know that you're coping with a lot, Rachel, and doing the best you can. And we email, and she's a special woman. Oh, Rachel, I don't know if he replied, but I forwarded your picture of a fireplace to Chris, and he thought it was hysterical. So I did fire that. I did send that as a suggestion. He thought that was hilarious. So FYI on that. I have to go up here. Don, when you said my girlfriend likes Adele, at first I thought it said my girlfriend's Adele. And I was like, good for you. Great job. And that's okay. I like Adele. We listened to Adele on the way here.
I love the new album. For anybody who's not checked it out, I don't know if I'm allowed to give props to albums on here. Can I give props to albums?
We have to give examples of 5 more. Examples of things that we like as well. It's inside humor.
Yeah.
She's gonna kill me. She's turning red now. Okay, so I have a question for everyone. If we don't have any more, let's see here. David wrote, "My daughter is going through an episode. I find that my OCD tries to spike. Is this something others have experienced?" I know I can speak for me. I think when anybody around me is dealing with OCD. Even Katie at times, my own OCD and anxiety spikes for sure. And I think that's very common, not only for sorry, I was reading the comment below and it made me laugh. For a father or daughter, but I think for anybody that you're connected to, in some way, I think you take on their stress, you take on their feelings, you want their happiness. And, we know that stress exacerbates OCD, good or bad. So I think any type of stress, can definitely cause an uptick in our own. So, I would say yes to parents, to kids, yes to girlfriends and boyfriends and significant others and partners, and yes to, friends and anything else, whether it's OCD or something else. But I know for me, when Katie's OCD spikes, mine definitely goes up as well. And that's okay. But that's, and I think accepting that is okay. I know it can seem challenging or annoying or frustrating. But I think understanding that that's the behavior of OCD and that that's okay. And it's not her fault that happens. It's, it's my OCD. It's nobody's fault, right? It's OCD's response to a stressor. And then I then have to choose how to respond to it. Is really important to recognize that that's okay. And that's part of our lives. And, when it's around people we care about, we can make really value-driven choices in those moments. So I have thoughts on that.
Yeah. And just to add to that, David, I think this is something that's totally and completely common. And I think the one piece for me is recognizing that when that does come up, that it is normal, and also to let yourself feel all of the feelings that you might have around that. And yes, it is not your daughter's fault by any means, but if you have just a second, I know with Ethan, sometimes if I'm having a really good week that's anxiety free and all of a sudden you'll be triggered about something, I'll have a moment of like, seriously, this is the first time I haven't been anxious in a while. And now I'm feeling anxious. I'm being honest, but I think letting yourself, feel those emotions, and then acknowledging where that's coming from of, okay, I have OCD. My daughter is going through something too. And I know why I'm feeling the way that I feel, but I also know why she's feeling the way that she feels. Both of those things are valid, and I can move on with compassion for her and for myself, I think is the best way to do that, to not try to get rid of those emotions, but just to move forward compassionately for you and for your daughter.
I was going to bring in self-compassion as well. So I think that's a great point. Yeah, Katie got triggered on the first day of our vacation, and the first full day, and I was like, "Oh, come on, I was just relaxing." But you know what? We have to offer ourselves compassion, our partners, whoever you love, compassion, and that's part of the process. And like realizing, what our lives would be out without that person, and it's like the pros definitely outweigh the cons, and the cons are manageable. So it's okay. I have a question for everybody, getting back to the main topic, which is let's talk about some things that we're thankful for. So I would love to ask you all, what are you thankful for right now in this moment? It can be anything that you want, but try to think of something that you're thankful for, and let's talk about it a little bit. So what are you thankful for? While you're writing in your answers, I can ask, well, they're coming in already. Yvonne writes, my daughter. I think that's beautiful. Katie, I'm thankful for this group. We're thankful for you, Beth, and crying and washing the dishes, which is still the greatest comment.
Oh, that was Beth's
comment.
That's Beth. Oh,
yeah.
I loved that.
Deirdre wrote the IOCDF. Thank you, Deirdre. Very, very sweet. Rachel, what wrote you guys? We love you, Rachel. Allison wrote, my dad completed chemo and radiation at Mayo Clinic. Allison, that's amazing. And we wish your dad health and happiness. Family and support. My heavy, thick blanket sitting outside. Why is it outside? Are you outside too?
I think sitting outside under the heavy sip.
Oh,
thick blanket.
I thought she meant she's inside her blanket sitting outside. And I was like, well, that sucks. But Lon is also sarcastic, so I also assumed that she was just being snarky about that.
Oh my gosh.
Thankful for you guys. We're thankful for you, our wonderful community. It's 34 out here. Thank you so much. My 3 grandchildren, my son's community, and my pup, also stars in the sky. Katie, I think it's so important. I love ending the day with gratitudes and what you're thankful for. It helps us become present. It helps us identify our values and what's meaningful in our life, despite what's, what may be loud at the present moment. If your OCD is loud, oh, mom's here. Hi, mom. I'm thankful for Ethan and Katie every day. Yeah, Jess wrote, my OCD therapist that knows what they're doing and how to help me. Alexander wrote, my husband too. I keep forgetting things. And Dr. Josh, this isn't an Oscar speech, Alexander. It's okay. I'm thankful for my agent, my manager.
Oh my gosh, no, she's being so sweet. He's kidding, by the way.
Beth, I'm not kidding.
Yes, he is.
Beth, what are your hermit crabs' names out of curiosity? Dr. Claiborne, absolutely. We love Jim Claiborne. Love and kindness. This is great. Keep it coming. I'm thankful for Nikki Bradley in Dublin as well. But no, I think it is so key to talk about things that you're grateful for.
Yes, he is being mean. I hit him under the table, Alex. So it's fine.
Ow.
Yeah.
Okay. Delayed. My daughter and my husband, I think everything that we're talking about is so important because we have to come back to that moment. We have to come back to the reason. We have to come back to reasons that are so important in our lives and the most meaningful things. And guess what isn't? OCD. OCD is not. OCD is a unwelcome guest that likes to speak up from time to time and make us feel crappy. And those are such great opportunities to remember the things that really matter, like your children, like your grandchildren, like getting back in your house of 148 days of renovation. Val, we're excited for you. We know how stressful that was. Whether it's pets, hermit crabs, pups, children, community like IOCDF or other communities that are meaningful to you. Understanding that, choosing OCD is not choosing those things because you can't live simultaneously with OCD and your values. You have to choose one or the other. And so reminding ourselves what we're thankful for is always a good opportunity to remind ourselves reasons to not choose OCD, to not compulse, to not give in to whatever thoughts or obsessions we're having, and remind ourselves of the really meaningful things in life and the things that we should pay attention to and give our attention to.
Thank you. It was super meaningful. Sorry, I started chuckling midway through because I was looking at Alex's response. But I love everything that you're saying. I love everything that everybody's saying. And it's really interesting. I was thinking this week for me about Thanksgiving and the last few Thanksgivings and what they've looked like. And I can think essentially the ones that I can remember most recently, Thanksgiving 2017, 2018, and 2019, I was really, really sick. And I have trouble even getting into the headspace of where I was at that point, not recognizing that I could have the life that I have right now, filled with joy and so much gratitude. And really, Thanksgiving 2020 was about 6 months after a pretty challenging divorce for me. And looking at where I am in 2021 in recovery from OCD, in a space where, there are still ups and downs, but I'm able to do advocacy with a partner who not only loves me, but helps me to love myself. With family who's supportive, getting to do work around faith and mental health and run ultra marathons. And I think for me, the thing that I'm the most grateful for is being able to do all of those things in a way where I'm present and where even when there are ups and downs, I can actually feel those things in ways that I couldn't for so many Thanksgivings and for so many years when I was sick, when I was just trying to get from one moment to the next and just trying to survive every single minute, to be in a place where I can feel every ounce of these amazing aspects of my life, from partner to advocacy to ultra marathon to just being at the beach, even in the highs and lows is a pretty amazing thing.
Please keep them coming. This is absolutely lovely. And I love seeing comments filled with values, if you will, because it's really meaningful. Hi, Pauline. We appreciate you as well. Mike wrote, so encouraging, Katie. I wanted to scroll up. Beth. So I'm assuming these are multiple hermit crab and not just one, but Cray, Patchy, Bob, Kiwi, Spot, Turbo, and Jasper. Is Turbo faster than the other hermit crab would be my question.
That is the question of the day.
That is the question of the day, for sure. And also, Nikki, I read you were able to see your son after 2 years. I love that. So I'm so happy, Nikki, that you got to do that. Don't laugh, okay, but I feel like Sam from the movie I Am Sam with Sean Penn. Oh, gotcha. Okay, resonate. I can laugh a little bit. No, do you know that movie?
No, am I too?
You're too old.
I'm too
I mean,
old.
you're too young.
Okay.
Yeah, you're too young. It's so hard with her. We try to make.
I know, right?
Deirdre wrote, my 2 daughters. Beth loves, I love these stories. Right on, Katie. Well, I guess we didn't. Did you just talk about what you're thankful for?
I did. I mean, I talked about being in a place of recovery and being able to experience and feel all of just the amazing aspects of life. But I'll say a little bit more to that, and I'll talk about this a little bit more about on Giving Tuesday kind of next week. But I'm so thankful, honestly. I know so many of you said for this community and for the IOCDF, and I am so ridiculously beyond ridiculously thankful for this community, and started really as an advocate like less than a year ago, really. And even 2 years ago when I was pretty sick, I was in a space where I didn't want anybody to know that I had OCD. I'm a school chaplain. I was navigating kind of harm stuff and false memory stuff and feeling like this just absolutely horrific monster, and didn't want anybody to know any of the things that I was navigating. And I remember even going to the conferences and putting the little sticky on my name tag so that they wouldn't take pictures of me because I didn't want anyone to know. And being in a space now with the IOCDF where I have a platform to have conversations and to be accepted for every aspect of who I am, but also the things that I've experienced with my OCD, and to hear from every single one of you so many times throughout the week on live streams and on Instagram and through IOCDF events. It is just the absolute biggest joy and the biggest just thing that I'm grateful for is to really be in a place where it's like, okay, all of that stuff that was so hard for so long has some element of purpose, because I get to connect with this amazing, awesome community. I get to learn from y'all each day and grow together. And it's just literally one of the biggest things I'm thankful for, and especially work around faith and OCD. But yeah.
It's pretty special. I can't believe you just read everything that I wrote that I was thankful for.
You did?
No, you read it. I was making
okay. I was like, I didn't say it.
I was making a joke. So yeah. So first of all, I think that this community is pretty amazing, and it's very, very special. And we've talked about it multiple times, but it really helps us make sense of where we are, make sense of our lives, make sense of the things that we miss, give us opportunities to give back to help us make sense of the things that we may have missed out on, and help us, give purpose, additional purpose to our lives, in addition to, the undying and unending, never ending, I should say, support and love and commitment to one another. And, your comments and posts and dialogues during these live streams you support us and help us just as much, if not more than what we hopefully help and support you with. You hold us accountable. You hold us to a higher standard that we may hold ourselves. I know for me, and Katie as well, but I won't speak for her. But I know for me, when I want to give in, I think of you, and I think of, and I do, what will Beth think? What will Lana think? What will Deirdre think? I want to try and be better for all of us in our community, and walk our talk, and that's really meaningful. So these are all, the community that we have, the relationships that we have, whether we met in person or over a stream or over a chat, or just, they're everything. And it helps us, really realize that we are where we're supposed to be. The other thing I want to say is I'm just thankful for, I'm thankful obviously for Katie and everyone in my life, but I'm thankful for I'm having trouble finding words, because I feel remember Katie said I was a crier, but it's not going to happen tonight. Oh, sorry, Beth, I made you cry, but at least you're not washing dishes right now. It's easier. I think that I've said this before, but it's even more special with Katie. I think that if you'd ever asked me at any given point, maybe the last 10 years, if I'd be here now in this place, in this life, doing this thing with this person, I truly never would have believed it. And I think that when I got better from OCD, I believed all these things, that everything was possible. And, as life is hard and difficult, I kind of started to think maybe not, but as I continued to reevaluate what was important to me, Beth heard I can go watch some now. Absolutely. You're not allowed to cry unless you're washing dishes. But as I reevaluated what was meaningful to me and what was important to me, and and maybe if it bruised my ego, but taking steps back to move forward, and and really reevaluating what I needed to do in a healthy and meaningful way, that's when things really started to align. And so I'm thankful for the life that I have, for as long as I have it, and thankful for the things that I get to do and be. And I think as I get older, I get more thankful and more weepy, to Katie's point. But and I'm rambling, but I'm just very, very grateful and thankful this Thanksgiving for all of you in my life, and Katie in my life, and the IOCDF in my life, and our advocates, Valerie's on, Liz, Chris, Tom. But above all, just I'm thankful for being at peace with be quiet, Val. Val read, I bet he cries. I'm close, but I'm not going to. I'm most thankful for being at peace with who I am and where I am in my life and what I'm doing. And I think damn, Val's right. And I think for so long, I was not at peace with anything in my life, including even after I got better. I wasn't at peace with how old I was and where I was in my career or life or partner. And there were definitely times where I wanted to, just throw it in and give it up. And it was really hard, I think. So I'm so thankful ultimately for just being at peace with who I am, what I have to offer, the life that I'm living, and whatever that looks like in the future. So that's me.
Thank you. This is, and then I know we're going to wrap up and do all the stuff at the end, but this is a really special group. And for everybody watching, going back to what Ethan was saying before, with this group really holding us accountable to be the type of people and advocates that we want to be. I really am just so thankful for all of you. I was thinking even this week, posting some things on Instagram about vacation and how to navigate OCD. Ethan, you reminding me, okay, you got to walk that walk. Give yourself 24 hours of not giving into that compulsion before you make that post. And literally for me, half the reason that I've done as well as I've done with my OCD this year is because of all of you, and because of advocacy, and because of folks on here like Val and Tom and Alex and Chris and Beth and Dawn and Lana and everyone just here. So thankful for all of you, but also thankful, Ethan, for you and for just being in a place where I can be at peace with myself, and really love myself for the first time, and watch you love yourself for the first time, and find value in the people that we are, both individually, but also as a part of this community.
Well said, Katie. And thank you, Judo, for the kind words. Thank you, everybody, for your input and your thoughts. It's always important to I remember when I got better, I used to thank my therapist over and over and over again. And she constantly would say, this isn't me, that was you. And I didn't understand that. I was like, what do you mean it was me? It was you. It was you. You did this. She's like, no, you did this. So really, we're all along for the ride together, but you need to give yourselves all the credit in terms of any gains that you've made in life, any things that you're doing, showing up here tonight, contributing, taking time out of your day to do something for you, which is absolutely huge. So don't ever forget that at the end of the day, you're in the driver's seat, and you're choosing, what direction you go. And so we love you and we support you, and we're here for you as much as we possibly can be. But at the end of the day, you're the one in charge. And so don't ever forget that it's you. It's always been you. And we're just maybe just some road signs along the way going that way, go that way. Okay. So yes. And Elaine, thank you so much for your real men do cry, because I cry a lot. And yeah, for sure. Shh, be quiet, Katie. Yvonne, Ethan, I am thankful for you. Listening to you is calming to me. I'm super chill today. I'm very calm. All right. It is 8:00 on the East Coast. Let's wrap up. I know Jess wants to get on with things, and I know you all have things to do. So real quick, as always, I want to thank the IOCDF and thank Jess behind the scenes for sticking with us this evening and doing all her I have digital voodoo. I've been saying digital voodoo for like 2 years. I really need to change that.
I think it's kind of weird at this point.
It is
honestly.
super weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. For all upcoming virtual live streams and content, visit iocdf.org/peace of mind. There you'll find all upcoming live streams and content that we have going out. With that, tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern is Chris's Corner. So if you'd like to tune in for more content, Chris will be on live tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, all that good stuff. Also, registration is open for the online OCD camp created especially for youth between the ages of 6 and 17.
I'll be there. Not because I'm between 6 and 17. Sorry, that got really creepy.
That wasn't creepy until you made that joke. Nobody thought that, Katie.
No, you gave me a look. But sorry. But I will be there, and I'm doing a kids session. I'm gonna bow out now. But I'm doing a fun session where we're gonna do some stuff around TikTok, and yeah, I'm gonna bow out.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, Katie can't come to the phone right now. Please leave a message after the beep. She'll call you as soon as I can. It'll feature 2 days of interactive sessions and activities for 3 age groups. In addition, the program will include sessions for parents, guardians, and opportunities for fun and socialization with other families. Learn more and register at iocdf.org/OCD camp. Jess is way ahead of me, or we just took forever to read that. But either way, thank you, Jess. It's not too early to give for Giving Tuesday at iocdf.org/Giving Tuesday. Giving Tuesday, a week from this Tuesday. All us advocates join Liz McInville and myself as we host Katie and Tom and Valerie and Chris to talk about, what are we talking about?
Oh, why?
We should give on Tuesday?
Yeah, it's Giving Tuesday. We're going to talk about all of the reasons that we're thankful for the IOCDF, all that the IOCDF has done for us, and we're really going to try to contribute to Giving Tuesday and share those awesome things.
That sounds good. If you haven't already and want to be notified about all this programming the IOCDF has over the next month, you definitely be sure to subscribe and follow on Facebook and YouTube and Twitch and LinkedIn and Periscope. And finally, if you have any questions, because you're here with me and Katie, please feel free to email me directly at justethan@iocdf.org. I check those myself, and I'm actually caught up. So please feel free to email me. Give me a few days to get back to you, but I'll definitely get back to you. Also, as always, if you need anything from the IOCDF, have questions, comments, suggestions, ideas, you want to get involved, whatever it is, don't hesitate to email the IOCDF at info@iocdf.org. With that, from Katie and I, a very, very, very happy Thanksgiving to all of you in America. If you're not, we'll be thinking of you and eating for you, and we will talk about future holidays. But at the end of the day, we're all thankful for each other. This was a beautiful, beautiful live stream. So thank you so much. As always, have a wonderful evening. Stay safe, stay vigilant, feel all the feels. Don't let OCD off the hook. And we will see you next time. And thanks for letting me bring Katie on. This was fun. Have a good night.